Run.
Well, hello everybody and welcome to On the Run, right here from Newport World Resorts, and I'm joined by IAG Managing Editor Ben Blaschke. Hi Ben.
Hey Andrew, looking forward to today's On the Run. It's been a great week.
It's been a fantastic week, and I'm a little bit under the weather after last week. The adrenaline has dropped off, and I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, so if I don't have the energy that I normally have, please forgive me, but Ben, you can make up for that. And as you can see, the IAG budget still hasn't extended to 2 microphones.
That's fine. Well, I think we'll make do.
We will make do. Anyway, so let's talk about, we're here at the Hilton Manila at Newport World Resorts. Let's start off with this week. It's been an absolutely fantastic week. Where to begin? Well, I guess we begin with the MAD on Monday night. What were your thoughts about the MAD at Casa Buenas?
Yeah, great event. Very, very well attended. More than 200 people there. A real buzz in the room. There was the industry was very well represented from all over the Philippines, all over Asia, and the feedback was amazing. Just a really enjoyable, fun way to start the week.
It was great. The food was great. The venue's really nice. It's a sort of pretty picturesque venue, and everyone was there. That's the biggest comment I got from everyone was, wow, how do you get all these people to come out all at once to these events? As you say, over 200 people there. Pretty much every IR, every supplier represented. It was just fantastic, and Kevin Tan was there, the executive chairman of Travellers International, the owners of Newport World Resorts, and there are other big names in the room as well. And it was just a fun, as you say, just a fun buzz in the room. Everyone was happy, and we finished up around 9:30, and we all went to bed and got ready for the next day.
Yeah, we had, of course, PAGCOR was well represented there. The chairman would have been there, except he was called away by the president, so pretty good reason not to come. But of course, he was there the next day for the summit.
Yeah, I told him he could just bring the president to MAD. That's what he should have done. Of course, that would have been a real coup for us. Maybe next time. So anyway, we had the MAD, and that was really fun, enjoyable event, and people got their badges for the next day's summit. And then we had the summit the next day. Started off with great coffee, sponsored by our friends at Light and Wonder, the coffee barista sponsors. And there's nothing worse than shitty, filtered, crappy coffee in these conferences in the mornings. But we got a proper barista, and it was really, really nice. And then we all filed in, and it was a packed crowd for the Chairman Al Tenko keynote.
Yeah, absolutely, and the chairman spoke at length about all the initiatives that PAGCOR is currently introducing and involved in and ongoing in the Philippines as he looks to sharpen up the industry here, I suppose. And one of the main things he spoke about was the growth of the e-game sector here. We're talking about remote gaming and domestic online gaming here, and he revealed a few things about his plans to further grow that by cutting the license fees charged to the domestic online gaming operators, which is in stark contrast to what's happening with the pogo industry here.
Yes, we'll get onto that later. But it was a great keynote that he delivered. Immediately followed by President's Fireside Chat. We had Nilo Rodriguez, the new CEO of this property, Newport World Resorts, along with the COO of New Star, Alan Teo, and they chatted to me for about, I think, 40 minutes or so. That was really interesting to hear their perspectives on the Philippines gaming industry. And then we went into the session with Niall Murray from Murray International, all about setting up new integrated resorts, which is going to be something that we're going to see a lot of, I think, in the years ahead.
Yeah, and Niall's got great experience across the world over many years in pre-opening, setting up resorts, new resorts, revamping resorts. So he provided some really interesting, really detailed insights into what really goes into it and the things you need to think about that many people probably aren't even aware of when setting up a new resort.
Yeah, I think the two big takeaways from that session was that people who do pre-opening, that's a totally different skill to actually running a resort, and just simply how complicated the entire process, how many thousands and thousands of individual critical path processes are in there. And then we went on to our Women in Gaming session.
Yeah, so we had representatives of the Philippines gaming industry, and moderated, of course, by Joy Andrade from Newport World Resorts here. And really interesting session with some key female leaders of the industry, really, or certainly women that have progressed very well in this industry here, talking about how attitudes have changed in terms of diversity and inclusion, the opportunities they've received, and how that's progressing at the moment in our industry.
And that wrapped up the day one of the summit around 4 o'clock, and then we went crazy, turning the room over to the awards. We had 240 people in the awards, up 45 from last year, 195. We packed out the Hilton Manila Ballroom. We certainly couldn't I've got an extra person into that ballroom. And I think it was a great night, Ben.
It was terrific, as you said, 45 more people than last year. It certainly felt it was pretty packed in there, but a lot of fun. The drinks flowed, the conversation flowed as well, and a lot of companies had a very successful night too with the awards. I'm thinking Marina Bay Sands, I'm thinking Galaxy Macau, Light and Wonder, Aristocrat. Many well-deserved awards were won.
Absolutely, and I think it was interesting. I was speaking to Ulai Sao, I don't know his exact title, but basically he's the TYC here at Hilton Manila, and he was saying after we ran the awards last year here at the Hilton Manila, they had a debrief and they went through all the things that they wanted to do better, and they were able to implement those things this year. And I think the service was better, the food was better. Not that it was particularly bad last year, but it just topped off an absolutely great night. Everybody seemed to be thrilled with the evening. The awards were shared around pretty evenly, which was kind of nice. Of course, we have no control over that. It's all up to what the judges do. But it was a lot of fun. It was all done and dusted by 10 p.m. and then there were a few quiet drinks had over at the Whiskey Library and various other places around here. And then we all toddled off to bed and got up the next morning for day two of the summit. And normally day two of the summit is not as good as day one, but I think in our case it was possibly even better. The content was absolutely, it even surprised me how good the content was on day two.
Yeah, we kicked off with a keynote from Kevin Tan, and Kevin mentioned himself at the start of his keynote that he doesn't do that sort of thing very often. So a bit of a coup to have Kevin provide the keynote and talk about all of the plans and initiatives that Alliance Global Group, the parent company, is implementing across the Philippines, and of course Travelers itself, the operator of Newport World Resorts, including a few expansion plans around the Philippines to Boracay and Cebu particularly.
Yeah, he talked in gave some detail about Boracay and Cebu, their plans for a Mactan World Resorts and a Boracay World Resorts in addition to the Newport World Resorts. I thought that was really interesting. And Alliance Global, they have the advantage of having Mega World, which already builds these kind of what would you call them? Townships, I guess you call them. And so they can piggyback off these townships and create integrated resorts. So Kevin Tan, that guy's really going places. He's got Alliance Global's got McDonald's, all the McDonald's franchises in the Philippines. He's got Mega World. He's got the Newport World Resorts and the other world resorts coming. And and Emporador, the world's largest maker of brandy, and so even though they've got quite diverse businesses, they're all sort of related in some way to leisure and hospitality. And then we went on to the regulators panel, which was great.
Yeah, we had, of course, Dan Cecilio from PAGCOR, we had David Green, of course, and we had, who else did we have, Andrew? I'm trying to remember now. Kim Udam from the Cambodia regulator there, yeah. So, we crossed a few jurisdictions across Asia and spoke a little bit about the opportunities and challenges happening around there, and there were certainly some interesting discussions had and some interesting discussions with the audience as well.
Yeah, it was a great session. Normally this is pretty dry stuff, but actually it was a really good discussion, and David Green offered some excellent insights, as he always does. That guy's got so much experience and opinions. Dan Cecilio was in fine form. He was, I don't know if he'd sobered up yet from the night before, but he was in fine form and offered a lot of very sort of frank and forthright. What a contrast to the Macau regulator. The Philippines regulator is really happy to talk and to explain what they're doing. And Udaan was great too. Like, we were talking about what they're doing in Cambodia and how they're trying to move their gaming industry forward. It's tough for them. It's a small country. They don't have the skills that maybe other countries have, but they're working hard at trying to improve their industry. And I thought he made some really good comments.
And some more about what's happening in Cambodia from IAG in the coming days. So stay tuned to Breakfast Briefing.
Stay tuned, huh? Something's brewing. That's the word I was looking for. Something's brewing. And then we went on to the operators panel. You then ran the operators panel, Ben.
Yeah, so that was Trevor Hammond from Newstar. We had Evan Spitmer from Casino Plus, and we have David Jordan, of course, here from Newport World Resorts, just talking about the growth in the industry, the opportunities in the industry here, as we have some of our...
Oh, look at this. We have our very good friends from GLI. It's Ian Hughes from GLI. Hello, Ian. How are you?
Good, well, thank you, Andrew. How are you doing?
Great. And you were there at the summit. What did you think?
Oh, it's a wonderful summit, mate. There was lots of representatives, lots of good content. It was great to catch up with everybody. It was a very good couple of days.
Excellent. I'll give you the money in the car park.
Thanks.
That's perfect. All right. See you, Ian. See you in Vegas. No, see you in Lisbon. See you in Lisbon. Okay. So our good friends off camera also Rich Howarth from GLI, as well as Ian. Now, where were we? Operators panel, yes. Did you finish that, or are you still going?
No, I did. I said, we spoke about everything that's happening in the industry, what they're seeing at their properties, how the industry is going in general. And it's a pretty positive. They're quite pleased about what they expect over the next 6 to 12 months here in the Philippines.
And that then was followed by the conversation between me and Kieron Carruthers, which was absolutely great. I thought he was very from it. Well, I was the one doing it. Maybe you should comment from an external point of view on what you thought of it.
That was an exceptional sort of 30-minute fireside chat or conversation with Kieran, as you'd call it. And he really opened up about the pathway that the journey he experienced with Crown, bringing them back to suitability over the past 2 years, and really delving into what it felt like for him to walk in on day one to try and lift the morale of a company that had been battered for years and years, and where they've gotten to now, and quite a remarkable transformation already. Still a long way to go, but really interesting to hear not just what Kieran did, but how he did it and his thought process behind it.
I thought it was great. I mean, I asked him some really pointed questions, and he didn't hold back, and he really explained it. And one of the big things about that, I've said it many times now, there was no playbook for the situation he found himself in. He had to write the playbook. Well, now there is one. It's what Crown did, and for them to have taken themselves from basically persona non grata status 2 years ago, and there were people. He was saying there were people who would get changed out of their uniform, wouldn't go home in their uniform because people would yell at them on public transport, and it was that bad. To now having the regulator coming out and saying, look, we trust them again. They've completely transformed their culture. And in fact, I won't say who, but we just had a Zoom call a moment ago with somebody from Crown, and we're talking about an operational matter. Let's just leave it at that. And he was talking so much in terms of AML and harm minimisation, and building those things into their day-to-day operations.
Yeah, exactly. It's we're both Australian, Andrew. We've known Crown for many years. We've seen it at its absolute peak, and we've seen it at the trough. So, at least at the moment, it's on an upward trajectory again.
That was a great session. We could easily have gone for another half an hour. I wish we could have, but we couldn't, because we had to move on to the Smart Tables session. And Smart Tables are a hot topic at the moment for obvious reasons. All 6 Macau concessionaires getting Smart Tables, and other integrated resorts around the region also getting Smart Tables. And I think I described it as the sliced bread, or the wheel, or the is that or the internet. It's that transformative. We've never had, basically turns a table game into a slot machine, and you can record, you get that data. You ran that session. How did it go?
Yeah, look, it was good. I think it was an important session to have for the Philippines market. Obviously, we know that in Macau, all 6 operators either have smart tables installed or in the process of doing that. Not so saturated here in the Philippines, so I think really important to have a session explaining to the audience what smart tables really are, what they can do, the benefits for this market, fraud detection, error detection, just general anything they are able to do, player ratings. There's many benefits to them. I thought it was really interesting to have the guys that are developing this product really explain all of these to the Philippine audience.
Yeah, we went straight to the horse's mouth, and that's one of the things that many people commented to us on. We got the right people there at the summit. It was the people that people wanted to hear from, and they actually spoke, widely and broadly and openly. We then moved on to the AI workshop from Clayton Peaster, a wicked smart guy who demonstrated how to use AI to solve certain problems within the gaming industry, or certain situations that might arise, marketing questions or issues or challenges. What do you think of that one, Ben?
Yeah, look, very insightful. I think Clayton was basically showing from an analytical perspective how people like himself, analyst types, look at numbers, break down a problem, use those numbers to figure out exactly what the problem is and where it's stemming from, and also how to address that problem. So he sort of showed that process, which simple folk like myself have never really understood that. So it was very interesting to see.
And finally, we rounded out with a suppliers panel. There were a few grumbles about the suppliers panel being very last, but we had to put something last, and that's where it was. But in all honesty, we had, I calculated about 120 years of experience on that stage. We had the leaders of all the big suppliers in Asia, the major ones, and again, another great panel that you ran.
Yeah, so we had David Punter from Konami, we had, of course, Ken Jolly from Light & Wonder, Lloyd Robson from Aristocrat, and Betty Zhao from Aruze, and we had a special at the bar style, so everybody on the panel got a drink. I enjoyed a beer while we did the panel, not a bad way to end the day, which I think relaxed everybody too. And we just spoke at length. That was, as you said, it was a very experienced panel, providing great insights into the particularly the slot market here in the Philippines, which is, of course, is very strong here, and all the trends and what's happening in different places. Yeah, very, very interesting.
Yes, and we've tried in the summit, and I think we've to a certain extent succeeded to make it different from other. You and I have been to hundreds of conferences and seminars and industry events over the decades, and they're all pretty similar in a lot of ways. Some of them are quite boring, and we've really strived hard to come up with innovative factors, like at the bar, where everyone's having a drink there, and we've taken the bar to the stage, and other things as well, and maybe picked people a little bit quirky or something a little bit different to try and give it real, true insights for people to walk away saying, "Well, I actually learned something there that I didn't know," and people were saying that to us, which was excellent. And as well as the summit and the awards and the MAD, we had another component to our event this week here at the Hilton Manila. We had an exhibition of one, our mini exhibition, our supplier showcase, just taken by Light & Wonder. They had a dozen machines there. It was just in a meeting room off to the side of the event venue. Of course, next year we will have a fully fledged exhibition, but Ken Jolly couldn't help himself. He came to us and said, how about I throw a few machines in there this year, to which we, of course, said yes. And did you take a look in there, Ben?
I certainly did, yeah. And I should say, we with a typhoon and some issues, those machines only just made it in time, but they did make it. The room looked great. As I said, I think there are about 8 or 10 machines in there.
12. I counted them.
12 of them, 12 machines, yeah. There you go. And great little setup. So it was a great place for Light & Wonder just to show some visitors what they've got in the pipeline. It was a couple of their new games, a couple of their games that are about to be approved and hit the market. And real great opportunity to showcase what they're doing.
And they had one side of the room, and we had a nice little poster up or backdrop up on the other side of the room advertising the IAG Expo for 2025. So the Super September name now gets retired and rebranded as IAG Expo, and that's what it will be next year. We've already signed an agreement with Newport World Resorts. It's a done deal. It will be on September the 8th, 9th and 10th, 2025, and we have new branding, quite sexy new branding, I think, and we put the slide up on the big huge LED wall at the end of the show. It looked great, didn't it?
Yeah, it looked really good. Looking forward to it.
So we were already starting to sell for that. So if you're interested in your company having a booth or a stand at the IAG Expo next year, please contact Jadson. Jadson's the one to contact. And we also had at the show both August and September issues. And let's talk a little bit about the September issue. I think you've got a copy there, Ben. The September issue of IAG with a Light and Wonder flap on the front and Kevin Tan on the cover. So I had a long format cover interview with Kevin Tan in the issue. So it worked out quite nicely because of the event here. What were your thoughts on that interview?
Yeah, really insightful. We know there's been some big changes here at Newport over the past 6 months or so. There's a brand new direction that Kevin Tan, as the chairman of Travellers, is trying to take this place. He's got some strong ideas about what's needed to really let this property live up to its potential. So he talks a lot about that in the interview. He talks about the broader expansion plans, sort of explains how Alliance Global Group works together with its many subsidiaries and how they complement each other. So and it talked a lot about himself too, his leadership style, how he's trying to present himself, how he's trying to lead the company. So definitely worth a read.
Maybe Ben, flick open to the contents page. There were some other great articles in September. We're really kicking goals. I mean, you're doing a great job putting this magazine together each month. It's been getting better and better. I mean, we've got some really good stories in there. The one from David Green about Thailand. Maybe you could explain that one a little bit.
Yes, well, David's expressed the concerns about the Thai opportunity, as we're going to call it. Talking about with the political situation there and the concerns that may raise for potential investors into that market. I guess time will tell on that, but certainly raises some very good points. And look, the other story I quite enjoyed writing in this issue is our industry profile with Aaron Raj from Angel. I caught up with Aaron in Sydney at AG recently and did the interview. I think my photography skills have come up quite well in this issue. Who knew that? That was a surprise to me as well. But yeah, really insightful into, I mean, Aaron's right behind this smart table push. He's had a big say in developing Angel's tables. Really interesting to get into Aaron's mind and his background and sort of you start to understand why he's played such a big role in that.
And of course, all the stories from every issue of IAG are also available online on asgam.com. So if you're not getting a physical copy of the magazine, which most people don't actually, most people read it online, you're not missing out on anything. It's all there online. And a lot of people don't realise that in Breakfast Briefing, we feature one article from that month's magazine, every issue of Breakfast Briefing for maybe 3-4 days, and then we move on to the next one. So if you scroll down your Breakfast Briefing that you receive every morning around 8 a.m, you will see the magazine articles as well. Well, why don't we just cover, to wrap up, a couple of the big stories in the last few weeks that have been going on. I would definitely say Star has been in the news big time. You're there in Sydney. Tell us about what's going on at Star. It's not good.
It's Crown 2.0, but I would say in a far greater context. I mean, there was a second inquiry held early this year into Star. They were found unsuitable 2 years ago. Second inquiry called because the regulator had concerns about how their rejuvenation, their reformation process was going. That has again found them unsuitable. And as a result of that, Star's found itself in an even more perilous financial position than it was before, to the point where basically on the brink of collapse. Now, you haven't even seen this, Andrew. I was just typing up about 10 minutes ago before we started this, a news story on Star, because the regulators issued a show cause notice today.
Oh, really?
To Star and mapped out what the potential punishments could be. Of course, including revocation of licence, it would be the most severe, but it's certainly an option for them. So Star has a couple of weeks to respond to that. In the meantime, they're in discussions with regulators, lenders, stakeholders, just to try and stay afloat. And will they? I mean, that's a huge question at the moment.
Well, I mean, Bruce Matheson might be playing a big role in that. He's got 10%, and I believe he can go to 19.99%. But that property is really at the brink, and there's no white knight coming to save them. Every other major integrated resort company around the world has looked at it and rejected it. Many of them contacted me to talk about what's going on at Star and ask my opinion on what would need to happen to get it back to being a viable going concern, a profitable going concern. And each one of them have looked at it because it does look quite cheap at 1 billion plus. compared to the 5 billion plus it was, but after looking at it all, all companies have gone, you know what, thanks but no thanks. So, I mean, even Blackstone apparently are not, and it would make sense for Blackstone because they'd get the slot machines that they don't have at Crown Sydney. They'd take out a competitor. But it seems even Blackstone doesn't want part of it, so no one wants it, and they're really starting to fall apart, and they're running out of cash, and the whole thing, as you say, may collapse. So that's pretty serious stuff. The foil between Star and Crown will be a case study in years to come, I think. They were both in a similar position 2 years ago, and Crown has really turned it around, and Star, if anything, made themselves worse. Yeah. Thailand, there's been some movement in Thailand in the last few weeks.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I guess the big thing that's happened in Thailand is the ouster of the former Prime Minister and the I was going to say the election of a new Prime Minister. I got to say she was placed there as the new Prime Minister of Thailand. But from our perspective, I think the important thing is that the new government has promised to continue pushing the legalised casino legislation. There was a policy statement yesterday that alluded to that. All signs are this is continuing to push forward. We're expecting to see Thailand's first casinos and integrated resorts, or legal ones anyway, in the coming years. And the latest talk was, we still don't know locations exactly, but could be up to 3 in Bangkok.
That would be huge to have them in Bangkok. Great population base, and if anything, I think this new Prime Minister might be a little bit more pro casino than the last. We have a new chief executive in Macau. Well, he's not elected yet, but he's going to be. And from all reports, he's even more bearish on the casino industry than the previous guy.
Yeah, we did write a story this morning that he met with all the concessionaires yesterday for the first time as chief executive elect. Discussing, in his first speech publicly, he did sort of talk about the need for diversification, etc. He really pushed that point. Of course, that was always going to be the case. I guess it's a bit of a wait and see on, how supportive he is of the industry in general.
Well, a couple of things. Well, technically he's not chief executive elect yet. He hasn't been elected, but he's going to be. He'll be elected when they have the election in, I think it's October, and then he'll actually be sworn in on December the 20th. But it was his comments about the detrimental effects of the industry and about he made some quite negative comments, even more than Ho Yat Seng, so that's a bit of a worry. But the reality is that Macau is supported by that industry, and life goes on, and the taxation revenue comes from the gaming industry. All right, well that's about it for this week. So what's travel plans? We're up to Clark, aren't we?
Heading up to Clark in a matter of hours or less, an hour or so, after I finish my margarita pizza that's sitting in front of me, looking very tasty. A couple of days up in Clark visiting our friends at Hahn. I think we'll catch up with our friends from Light and Wonder as well while we're up there. I head back to Sydney on Sunday evening.
Yes, I'm off to Hong Kong and then Macau on Sunday evening as well, or afternoon. In Macau for just a week, and then off to Lisbon. I'll be off to Lisbon. I'm going to SBC. I've never been to an SBC before. I think it's about time I did, so I'm off to Lisbon, and then I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to go around to New York and on to Vegas for G2E.
Yeah, and I'll meet you in Vegas.
You will, and we'll have some fun at G2E. We've got various activities planned, and of course we will be going around G2E and reporting from the floor of the show there for everything that's relevant to the Asian gaming industry. So I think that's it from us, and it's been a fantastic week here. Super excited about next year. Put it in your diaries, mark the date, 8th, 9th and 10th of September 2025. If you've never really thought about whether you should come over to the Philippines or not, you should. It's going to be an absolutely cracking event next year. So, all right, that's it for us. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.
Run.